All right,
Hi.
so welcome to Algebra 1. Today is April 28th. As usual, let's make sure to be respectful of others, etc. Do your best. The main part is, oh, why is it going forward? Have a paper and pencil for notes if you can. Let's do our stress checks on the type box and the chat box. Type how you're feeling today. Oh, good. Okay.
Everybody's pretty good.
Okay, so for today, we're gonna review finding the solving. We're gonna review, or not review, sorry. We're gonna keep learning about solving systems of equations by elimination. Because last time we did some practice on just the eliminating part. This time we're gonna get more into actually eliminating, okay? But first, I want us to review these do-nows. So it says select the ordered pair that is a solution to the equation represented by the graph. So remember that whenever I'm talking about, okay, there we go. Whenever I'm talking about solutions, solutions mean it's an ordered pair that lands, and I'll just do that, lands on the line, okay? Meaning one of these, whichever is the ordered pair, has to land on the line. So we look at 6, 0. So I go 6 first, right? Because that's my x. So 6, 0. And that one does. So right away, I can assume that that's probably my answer, but I'm still going to double check. 4, 3. I go 4. And then 3, which is right there. No, that's not it. I go 12, 0, which is somewhere here. That's not it. And then 3, 4. So I go 3 and then 4. And that's also not, so I can be sure that my answer is 6, 0. All right, so now out of these, all right, so what we reviewed on Tuesday was that we have to look if, the first thing is to look to see if there are any, out of these groups that we have, are there any that have the same number right away? And that gives us our biggest hint. So notice 2 and -7 are not the same number. So we can make them eliminate at some point, but that would be a lot more work than we need to do. If we look at this group, notice we already have 2's. And to make it even easier for us, they're already opposites. So remember how we talked about to eliminate, they have to be opposites but the same number? So this would actually be the group that we would click on. And when you're doing this in your do now, you would just click on which one of the three, we eliminate. That's like a little new feature that that I used on Schoology. But the problem, this is a problem that we reviewed on Tuesday. We didn't solve it, we just did the 3-way. The problem says you're going to the mall with your friends and you have $200 to spend from your recent birthday money. You discover a store that has all jeans for $25 and all dresses for $50. You really, really want to take home 6 items of clothing because you need that many new things. So some of the things we talked about were, we talked about what is a problem about for our first read, and we said it's about shopping, using birthday money. The second read was what math information is given, and they tell you that you have $200 to spend. Jeans cost $25, dresses cost $50. The fact that you need to buy 6 items. That's all the math information they gave you. And then some of the questions we came up with were, how much would it cost to buy all of these things? But the main question we talked about was, how many jeans and dresses can he buy or she buy for 6 items? Or like, with $200. So if they buy 6 items, how many dresses would they end up buying? How many jeans would they end up buying to make $200? We'll come back to that. All right, so this is our first example, okay? That's what we covered at the last session. You would know that this cancels out. But the first step in solving a system is that you pick one of the variables to eliminate. And we picked a variable. It was y. We picked y to eliminate because that would be easiest for us. So we eliminate the variable chosen, not chose, by converting the same variable in the other equation to its opposite. But it's already its opposite, so we don't need to do anything there. So now we add the two new equations and find the value of the variable that is left. So we're going to add the two equations. So we go 2x plus 6x, and that's 8x. Okay. We don't do anything here because we crossed it out. And then we go 17 minus 9, and that is 8. Okay. So our next step would be to go ahead and solve for x. So if we're solving for x, that means I get rid of that 8. That cancels out. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. That leaves me with x is equal to 1. So we have what our x is equal to. And then we substitute that back into the original equation to obtain the value of the second variable. What that means is we take one of the equations, and you can take whichever you want. I'm going to take the top equation. And I'm going to substitute that back into that equation. So I'm going to put wherever x is, you know how it says x is equal to 1? Right here. We're going to make that equal to 1. So we're going to go 2 times 1, because remember that means times. We don't know what y is equal to. We go 2 times 1 is 2. And then we just solve for y. We try to get y that way. So I can get rid of this 2. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. I divide each side by 5. Cancels out, and that leaves me with 3. And now I have a complete answer. I have my x is 1, my y is 3.